Hello, I am Stephanie Joy, the attorney at All Things Social Security and Joy Disability Law. Your video is about to start. I just wanted to remind you that if you click the join button below, you can learn more about the memberships offered at a very affordable price that can give you a little more direct attorney answers to your questions. Have a great day and enjoy the video. Hey, so this is in response to the probably a begrudging question as to why SSI and other programs, perhaps from the local side, take into consideration every darn penny we get and reduce accordingly. So just to go over the basics, remember that SSI is not Social Security. It is not Social Security disability or retirement. So while it's handled by the SSA, it is a completely different animal. The only real commonality between the two is that if you're not of retirement age or with SSI over 65, you have to be disabled. And the disability definition is the same for both. It's the same level of disability, the same rules apply. You know, you have to be disabled at the time you are applying and or claiming the insurance if it's SSD. Because remember, SSD is Social Security Disability Insurance. SSI is Supplemental Security Income. And the difference cannot go unnoted. Social Security Disability, the person claiming it actually worked for it and paid in the premiums via the Social Security taxes he or she paid throughout their entire working life, where they paid SS taxes. And I say where they paid SS taxes because if you worked under the table, you avoided paying those, and that's not going to help you. So they pay in either as a W-2 employee, as a self-employed person delivering newspapers, as a gigger, as a small business owner, whatever the case may be. And that accumulates and develops into what would be an insured status and for a particular amount. So the more we pay in, the more our benefit amount is going to be, just like any other premium payments. So the less we earn, the smaller our retirement or disability is going to be, because the smaller the premiums we will be paying. People that work 2 jobs instead of 1 tend to have a higher Social Security benefit later. So the work income, so I don't want to say the amount of work per se, because a higher income person is going to be paying in more and therefore having a higher benefit than a lower income person. And that's how it is when you're buying insurance. The more you buy, the more coverage or benefit you're going to get. SSI does not require that you worked at all. It is welfare. I know you probably don't hear that word very much anymore because they really try to get away from it. A lot of groups and media to try to use the term needs-based, which it is. And they thought that the word welfare would turn people off. That's my understanding of the history of the language change in the media. But it is welfare. And that is nothing to necessarily be ashamed about. So I have a video disputing a bit some of the stereotypes that might be out there for some people who choose to have them. And it's not, it's more often than not, doesn't fit the bill for SSI recipients. However, it is true that it is welfare. You know, they throw out the word entitlements, and many would say, and I would tend to say they're right, SSI is not an entitlement. It is more of a gift, whereas Social Security, because you bought it, like if you bought a car, it's yours, you're entitled to it. That is the difference to me. Regardless of how you look at it, and regardless of which one you collect or seek to collect if you're disabled and can't work, there's no shame in either. And trust me when I say I have Social Security people who feel like that is um, a gift and not something that they necessarily would be entitled to. And I'm like, no, you actually bought it. That's insurance. No different than, car insurance or health insurance that you go out and you buy, or life insurance or anything else. Okay, so where does it leave us with SSI? Because SSI is a needs-based program, as they like to say it these days, um, they set a certain amount of need, for lack of a better word, at a dollar amount. So in 2024, it's $943 is the amount below which they will want to, if you are disabled and can't do it for yourself, get you up to 943. So when you have, whether it's from a job or Aunt Mary, giving you money all the time, you have a trust fund, you have an annuity, you have some other way to get the funds to yourself, income, that income, whether it's, as long as you have a bit of dominion over it, I would say, and you could access it if you wanted, that is going to be something that you're expected to use before you would become eligible for SSI. Same is true with many other needs-based programs. It could be the TANF, TANF, that we were speaking about the other day. There's all sorts of needs-based programs out there. And if you don't need $50 because you got it from Aunt Mary, then your SSI would go down by $50. And there are, of course, common sense strategies to not take $50 from Aunt Mary, but Aunt Mary can help you legitimately in other ways so that it's not coming in 50 from Aunt Mary and going out, being taken away from the SSI. So when it comes to SSI and dollars coming in counting, that is the reason, because SSI is a needs-based fund. Less need means less need. Means less SSI. And you have to always remember that it's not something that your taxes paid for. So whether you worked a long time ago or not, those monies are not exactly what's paying the SSI now. It's not coming from the Social Security Disability Fund. So SSD people and SS retirement people shouldn't ever be offended at a SSI recipient. It's two totally different funds. No one's draining anybody else's fund. The SSD fund is in retirement, largely funded by workers' taxes. It is definitely a workers' program. When they talk about making it more needs-based, so I'm not a fan of that as being a way to save it. If they need to save it, they need to do it from its fiber. If they're overspending or whatever's going on, they need to do it differently. Turning it into just another welfare program is not the answer. It is an insurance that people with pride worked for and paid for and collect. Don't have to feel like they're taking away from those that can't do for themselves because they already bought this for themselves. SSD, as you know, does not get reduced if you are working and bringing in a little money for yourself while being disabled. And that's why, because it's insurance that you paid for. It's not needs-based. So if you go out and you earn $1,000 a month at a job that accommodates your disabilities, you're not making SGA, you can keep the 1,000 and continue to keep your full SSD benefit because that is what you bought. And that is one of the major differences with SSI. It is needs-based. It is a gift from your fellow taxpayers. So the sooner we start to recognize what it is, the sooner, we could be smart about when we need it, how to not need it. There are ways that, you can avoid. Obviously, it might be a little too late now, but, I have a video, I think, on even like some of the people that end up disabled and don't have Social Security to fall back on in terms of disability. they didn't know that they could have avoided it. They were staying home for a very valid reason and not working outside. And some of them were working outside, but for a family business that didn't take a check, not a paycheck anyway. There are so many unwise ways to do it where they could have avoided all that and had Social Security. And I do have videos on that, guys. I'm just not sure. I'd have to go find them. I'm not sure if they're tagged properly or if they're in, I don't know if they're in, what kind of playlist they'd be in. I mean, they're probably just in the broad one, which is, there's a lot of videos. But if I can find it, I will try to tag it here. You know, if you're a homeowner, what you probably should be doing that won't interfere with, did I say homeowner? Homekeeper, homemaker. Sorry, I'm clearly not one of them. I work from home, but I'm not a very good homemaker. So there are ways that you can prevent not having insured status so that if something happens to you and you become disabled, you will have Social Security disability. And that's while being a homemaker. That's not going out and working full time. I'll tell you that much. It's really, really, really pretty easy to do. If you are working with a family business, same thing, different issue, but you might find yourself not, I've had many people who came to me, became disabled, had worked all their lives, and they don't have Social Security insured status, even though they worked up until 6 months ago for this reason, working for a family business and not. Sometimes you got to tell that tax preparer what they should be doing. The accountants, I had a CLE, I provided on that once, and you know, the accountants, the tax preparers and the tax accountants for people need to get a grip on this because they're doing a grave injustice to too many people who are hardworking but will not have Social Security despite that. So anyway, SSI, SSD, there are many avenues to make them work best for you. And there are also avenues, if you're on SSI and you're not pleased with being SSI, it is a bit of a thumb on the pulse of your neck that you can, if you're not 100% disabled from doing any kind of part-time easy job, there are ways to ultimately get off of that if you want to and have a different kind of benefit such as Social Security disability or Social Security retirement. But you have to find out about it. So if I find those videos, guys, I'm going to tag them. I might have a special playlist. I don't know. There's so many. I'll talk to you later. Bye.